Hello, this is Bonnie, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit harder project. It's not so hard, it just is more time consuming. And that is, I'm going to be using Lisa Horton's, this one is called Cosy Christmas Home, and these are the stencils. And you could also get the coordinating 3D embossing folder that comes with a die, so you can cut each one of these houses out. It's super cool. And that's the dies on the back, and that is what the embossing folder looks like. And this particular layering stencil has 9 different layers. So that I haven't made this one, so it's totally from scratch and how I am going to be figuring this out. I am going to be using the cover of this for reference as we're going. So I wanted to tell you how I go about figuring out just to get it set up. So this is the stack of stencils. I am actually using Lisa Horton's, I think it's called, I think this is called Mate, Craft Mate. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's perfect. It works great. It has the peg system on the side that coordinates with your stencil. This mat in the back makes it so your paper doesn't move around. Why I put the washi tape on here, I don't know, because it really doesn't move around. And in order for you to figure out how big of a piece of paper you need behind, basically it can't be any bigger or any smaller than your stencil, because nothing will be. So I actually made it a little bit bigger, but quite frankly, the size of this is great. Unless you are making a scene as you're going, which you could do by moving this around and not using the peg system. But we're going to go totally with how it is supposed to come together. So I cut my paper, lay it down, and then you will take your first stencil, and each stencil, even in this lighting, is not the greatest, but up here in the left-hand corner, it says it's embossed in it, and that tells you the number that you're on. So basically I will do it and I'll turn it over and set it down. That's just how I do it. So this is how it sets in, and then you have to look at this and you have to figure out, okay, what am I coloring in? So this is the clock tower is what I'm going to call it, and this is the house. And if you can see the picture, this is the back of the house. So whatever color you want your back of your house to be, and in this case, same deal. This is the back of the house, and this is like the little window up above. So I think that's how you would start figuring out what you want to do. Now you can totally do what's on here or do your own thing. The other thing I like to use, but I only have 3 of them, is Lisa has these great brushes, and they're really super soft. I do have blending brushes that I will use, but because these are smaller, it's nice to have a smaller brush. And like I said, these are really, really soft. They're like kitten soft. They're really, really nice. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my ink, and the ink I have is not Lisa Horton's ink yet, but I'm going to be using DiesRus Oxide. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out and we'll get started. Okay, so I have those all stenciled in, and so the only thing I need to do now is I will need to die cut each one of these, and I'll do that on my die cutting machine, and I'll bring it over and I'll show you how I put it inside of the 3D folder. I think another thing that would look really nice on this probably is to add some texture paste once I get done embossing it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so I have them die cut. I do not emboss them in my embossing machine or die cutting machine at the same time. But what I did want to tell you is which way you put these in. The raised part is on the bottom. It pushes it up so that it is 3D. So that means I need to get it set up in this piece right here as best as I can. Now remember, how you die cut it will also affect how you emboss it. So I'm trying to get that as straight as I can to what the design is, and then I just close that up and I run it through my machine. I actually have a big shot, and so I'm able to run that through according to that sandwich. So each machine you need to check what your sandwich is for 3D folders. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is what the finished look is when you have die cut them and emboss them. And it's really kind of cool. You can see how it has raised in several of those areas. What I think I still am going to do is I am going to use some texture paste that I have in my stash to add a little bit. I'm just in the mood for snow. I don't know why. I'm not really wanting to really for real, but in my crafting projects, I'm in the mood for some snow when I make these. If I was making Halloween, no, I wouldn't want any snow. But making the Christmassy type cards, I like the snow. And so I just kind of like put this I don't know how to explain it to you. I just kind of tap it on in those spots that I want it to be raised. And as much as we've already got really nice embossing on this, I just thought a little bit of snow added is kind of cool. So that's all I'm doing, is just adding a little bit of texture to those areas. There's some above the door in that. That's going to be harder for me to get to because it's tiny, but I'm definitely going to do down here at the bottom. I'm just like, I don't know how to explain, I'm just kind of dabbing it and adding that to the parts that are supposed to be snow at the bottom. So to finish my card, I am going to make this into a card. I am going to use the die cut negative bits for a little bit of background stenciling to have behind these. And I think that'll look kind of cool. I don't know, I'm going to try to get this little bit right here. I might have to grab a little bit more. Let's see. I just think that little bit right there needs it. This part right here is not cooperating with me. Just need a tiny bit. You can almost put this on with your finger, but you just don't have as much control. Oops, I just stuck my finger in the part down there. Okay, so that's going to be that for the snow. I know there's more up there, but I think that's good. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the bottom here on this one. And then this little bit right here. And I can see there's a little bit up on the very peak, or the steeple thing. And the chimney. I'm going to add a little bit more. It isn't raised up much more than what the embossing is on here, so I think that still works. So I'm going to go ahead now and get together the stencil for the background and finish off the card. Okay, as you can see, I've already started, and all I did was I added this to the back, and then I used some, tumbled glass, and then I'm also using lost shadow, and that's what I did with that. And I'm just going to go across one more time just to show you what I did, and that will be part of my background. And I'll probably add some more texture snow to the front of my card. We'll have to see what it looks like once I get the houses on here, and the house and the clock tower. So that's all I'm doing, is I'm just really simply using that cutout from the die, and adding some really faded background shadows. Another one that would be really good, there's a tree. Lisa Horton's, there's a tree that works really good, a fir tree I think it's called. I don't have it out, so I can't tell you exactly. But I think that will work really good. I'm going to go across with a, let's see how this looks. But I think, yeah, I think that's going to work great. And then, like I said, if I want to add a little bit of snow to the bottom here, that just makes it look like it's in the background. I'm going to add a moon, and like I said, a little bit of shadow down here. And I can do that with just a torn piece of paper that I've used before. I think I'm going to get one that's a little bit cleaner. There we go. And I'm just going to put this along the bottom, and I'm going to use Lost Shadow. Again, I probably will add maybe a little bit of texture paste. We'll see. I'm not really sure till I get it all together. And probably can add some, I think that'll work. I probably can add some, I'll probably cut this shorter anyway. I probably can add some, what do you want to call it, splatters in the back that coordinate. We'll see. Okay, so that's going to work for that. And then in terms of the moon, I need a circle. I have several die cut. we're gonna go with this one. Let's see, we'll check it out. Yeah, I think that's gonna work back behind there. Okay, so then what I do is I take that, and again, I think I'm just gonna stay with the Lost Shadow. This might pull some of the ink that's already on this cardstock, and that is chipped sapphire, which works fine, because that's what it's doing. Yep, and that's what that does. It gave me a little bit more of a green instead of a blue. Let's see if we can soften that a little bit. I might even add a little bit of blue to that just to get the, oops, might have a wrinkle. That's what happens when you use a paper that's not as good. Okay, I think I'll still be able to get that to work. So, I think I need that little bit at the bottom though. I think I do. Just a tad. Okay. All right, we'll make that work. That's going to be our background. I'm going to have to do something about how I just wrinkled that paper, but I think we can get that to work too. Okay. Okay, so I have finished, completed this card, and I was going to go ahead and show it to you up close. I did add the fir trees to the background just behind the houses, and I did, all I did for those was I added a little bit of Lost Shadow to them. I did emboss them and then added the Lost Shadow to them, just to give that a little bit more dimension on there. This is the fir trees, and you can find these currently till you can find them at DiesRus, where I'm going to be posting this video, and I think they're really good adding backgrounds. They work really good with a sleigh. I've made a card with that before. So anyway, I will have the supplies that I've used in the description below. And I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks so much.